Alright guys, Rich here from the RCNetwork, and this is going to be my final thoughts on the Tekno SCT410. Now, I have had about a little over a month of drive time on this short course truck from Tekno, and I'm truly amazed at how well of a product that they have put together, being that they were pretty much just a kind of like an upgrade company, and they did the conversions from nitro to electric, and they've put this thing together using a lot of the same parts as the EB48, their first production line RC car. That is an 8-scale buggy. Now, they use a lot of the same parts from that EB48 as they do in this SCT410. So it's definitely, under the shell, almost an 8-scale buggy under there. So pretty cool. As far as all my thoughts, and I've jotted down some pros and some cons and everything else about this truck, but I'll just cut to the chase. Thumbs up on this truck. I was just truly amazed at just the stock setup right out of the box. If you build it to the stock spec, this thing just performs great. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera a little bit so you guys can see up close on the actual chassis, and we'll kind of go from there. Alright guys, and we're back now, and just a couple of side notes here on some of the items that does not come with the Tekno SCT410 kit. It does not come with a body, does not come with wheels or tires. So what I chose and what worked out really great for me, the Proline Flowtech body, I've just had really good luck with those, and it seems to fit this truck very, very nicely, especially with the cutouts and whatnot, to keep it as quick through the air as possible. As far as wheels and tires, the F11 wheels from Proline, awesome wheels. They fit this truck perfectly, as does the SCTE and a couple other ones out there. And then I went with the Proline Ions and MC compound for my particular track. They just seem to really hook up very, very well, being an indoor clay track. So let's take off the shell. Let's start looking at some of the other stuff inside of here. You guys have hopefully seen some of my other videos, so I'm not going to go over, mundane information that you probably already know. But I want to cut to, let's start with some of the cons on this vehicle, and we'll end on the positives. And believe me, there's little to no cons on this thing, and it was kind of, I was sitting here jotting some things down. I'm like thinking, what sucks on this truck? Not much. So the first thing, kind of the obvious thing, is it's heavy. And if you're used to driving a lighter truck, and you drive this thing, it definitely drives differently. So you have to get your mindset kind of thinking correctly, and it really drives like an 8-scale buggy, and that's kind of where it's bred from, the EB48. So you kind of have to get your mindset that it's going to drive a little bit heavier than a typical 4-wheel drive. This thing weighs in, as I have it set up, at 6.85 pounds, so about a pound heavier than the previous truck I was driving, and you can definitely feel that. But if you power it correctly, it will definitely move. The next thing that I found that was just kind of odd, that I wish they would have included in the kit, is the servo horn. It comes with a plastic servo horn that is just somewhat odd. It won't take a normal servo horn. So there are some fixes out there, and I've posted a previous video on how to fix this, but it just would have been nice if, maybe not including the aluminum servo horn that I included on here, but maybe just making a normal servo horn would have been nice. So that's a small thing, believe me. The last thing on the cons is the wheel hexes. There's been lots of controversy, and I keep up on all the forums. The kit comes with plastic wheel hexes, the 12mm hexes. I just wish that it would have came with the aluminums. Small little thing there. It's I think a $12 upgrade part for all four. Small little minor thing, but anyways, I went with that out of the gate. As soon as I built it, I put those things on. All is well. That's all the cons, guys. I mean, this truck is just super, super nice. Let's start talking about some of the pros on this thing. First thing, stock setup is awesome. Whoever wrote that manual and put together the way this truck should be set up, especially for an indoor clay track that I run on, they nailed it. I mean, there's nothing on this truck that you need to change right out of the gate to get it performing very, very well. The next thing on this, it was the con on the first part, but being that it's heavy, it's super beefy. You're not going to break things on this truck. I've heard little to no breakage on this entire truck throughout all the forums and people that have had it since, I think January or February of 2013 is when it came out. Next thing, it's sexy. I mean, it's all black. Even the upgrade parts that come in the kit are black. It's just super stealth. Gotta love that. The next thing here is metric hardware. I mean, I have been stuck in the SCTE world for quite some time now, and I'm just so tired of the, SAE or the standard hardware, and I'm just glad to see my 1.5, my 2 mil, and my 2.5 mil come back to life. So really appreciate that they included the metric hardware in there. The body post system, that's my next thing that I definitely like. It comes with multiple body posts. And in my case, I somewhat made a mistake on cutting my body, or cutting the holes on it, and it wasn't lined up perfect. A little switcheroo of the body posts, and everything's perfect. So they give you, I believe, 8 body posts, and they're different offsets and whatnot, so they can fit almost any body out there. Last thing, suspension shocks. I mean, 16 millimeter shocks. I mean, you're finding those on 8-scale buggies, and the travel is just amazing. This thing can soak up any bump you give it, and it just seems like it has endless travel sometimes. So, and with that, whoever once again set up the owner's manual on how to build the shocks, awesome job. I think I've said that before. But it definitely, whoever designed that, awesome. And the last little side note that I have written down here was, you don't need upgrades on this truck. I mean, of course, RCNetwork, I'm going to upgrade the upgrade. So I've added a few upgrades on there, but you don't need them. I mean, out of the gate, this truck is so well designed by the Tekno crew that you don't need the upgrades. Now, here's some things that I upgraded that you may add on. You really don't need them, though. First thing was the 12 millimeter hexes. There's people that say the plastic ones are fine. Some people that say the aluminum. I went with the aluminum, $12 part. The air guards, I think these were $8. They just minimize the amount of airflow that gets to the shell to create the parachute effect. You don't need them, but they happen to work. The last thing that I upgraded was the center drive shaft in aluminum. It was looking at me at the shop. I picked it up, and it's on there. So it lightens up the driveline just a little bit. That's that rotational weight that you want to keep as light as possible because your truck will be faster. So I went ahead and I upgraded that. That was like a $14 or $15 part. I'll have all of those parts in the description below so you guys can, or description above, or below, so you guys can click on that. The last thing that I upgraded as far as suspension parts was, just some fine tuning here to get the suspension working great. The springs that it comes with are just a little bit soft for my liking, so I ended up going with this spring package. This is and it's a little bit confusing, and you can see that I have crossed out red and put green. I'm colorblind once again, so it's kind of hard for us non-color seeing people to distinguish the spray paint that is marked on the shocks. And the other thing that's kind of confusing is everything goes by spring rate here and not by color, but if you look at some of the setup sheets, it's by color. So you have to have almost like a cross-reference chart, which I believe is also out there. But for the rears, the 6031, that's the green springs. And then for the fronts, 6035, that's the pinks. That's what I'm running. It happens to work for me, and there you go. As far as performance, I can't say enough. And I think I published a a running video of this, and believe me, it was somewhat embarrassing to say the least. But fresh track, it was just literally, I think I was 2 hours into that track being opened, and I think I just ran a different spring set even from what I listed there, and it just wasn't working for me. I was kind of all over the place, wasn't making the jumps, and I took this to the track a couple more times after that session, and I've really been fine-tuning it and working on, of course, my driving skills. And the last time that I took this truck off the track, it was somewhat strange. I had people coming up to me as I was leaving the driver's stand, and when I got to my pit area, asking me what the hell was I running. And that's just such a great feeling. I'm not a racer. I do this for fun, and I like to have some of the best equipment, and definitely want to run this thing and see how well it can do. But I had people coming up to me. I mean, these are like serious drivers saying, "Hey, what setup are you running? What are you doing?" That thing was fast on the track, and my lap times were definitely showing that too. So all in all, I can't say enough good things about this Tekno truck. If you haven't driven one and you know someone that has one, beg them to try and drive theirs. It definitely makes a difference. As far as the kit price, about $350 to $400 for the full kit. You can find it out there, and they're out of stock, which that tells you a lot too. I mean, they're definitely selling these things. So take a look at this truck. I'll have lots of links in the video description so you can check it out for yourself. And that's it. That's my opinion of this Tekno SCT410. I love it. I definitely think this is one of the best trucks out there in four-wheel drive. So any questions about this truck or the RCNetwork, please post it on down below. And as always, thumbs up and subscribe. And that's it for now, guys. Over and out.